So one day I decided to research the menstrual cycle, and I just had all of these dots click in my mind of how the earth is more like a woman than it is like a man, and how women ideally should be the foundational pillars of society and of earth rather than men. And if anything, men should be supporting the woman to do that. Generally speaking, or you can say it's more like the feminine energy is more attuned to nature and earth and the universe, while the masculine nature is more attuned to supporting that. Like it's more adaptive to support the magic, where the feminine woman side of things is the magic. So I kind of want to share my insights about it all in this video, and I've made previous videos about it already, so you kind of already know. I mean, from the 11 people that may have watched it. As we all know, women go through menstrual cycles, right? They have this cycle where they essentially, it's like going through the seasons, right? And every 28 days they go through spring, summer, fall, winter, right? And then their energy goes up and then it goes down, then it goes up and it goes down. And for me, that's how the universe works, right? That's how energy in the entirety of the universe works. It goes through cycles. Even men, they have this cycle, but it's like a testosterone cycle in a 24-hour period, so it kind of goes up and down throughout a day. So generally speaking, men are much more adaptable, they're more consistent, and they're more stable, you can say, in general energy and productivity. They're like the structure, right? While women, because they have the menstrual cycle that they can't really escape from, unless they bombard themselves with hormones and birth control, which I think are fucking terrible, they're gonna go through the cycle and they're gonna feel it. And if we view that function of woman in a patriarchal, masculine-dominated world, it seems like women they're really shitty and they're so much less capable because they're not able to keep up with men and stuff like that, right? If you go from that male egoic mindset. But actually, I think if women, rather than trying to be like men because men have told them to be more like them in this world, right? If women lean more into their actual feminine nature and their own rhythm, right? Their actual natural rhythm, rather than try to adapt that to a masculine rhythm, 9 to 5 or what have you, I feel like not only would the women feel better about themselves and their life in general, but they would actually be equally, if not more productive than men. Like men are really good at being consistently productive doing, and again, all of this is a generalization, right? But I hope you get my point and where I'm coming from. Like men are generally more productive and they can do the same shit every day and they can be generally quite consistent, right? But I think where women, even though they're not consistently productive, they have magic potential, right? It's you can produce the same type of content every day and you have the same structure and the same format and your followers might really like it and it might perform generally well, right? But none of it doesn't have that viral potential, right? Whereas I feel like feminine energy and women, they have that viral magic potential. So even though they're not consistent like men, it's like if they follow their cycle and they honor their highs and they honor their lows, especially their lows, I would say, then it's like when they get to their highs, it's like they have this built up of natural rhythmic flowy energy from the universe. That's boom, then it's this explosion of expansion and it takes her to the stratosphere. In my opinion, that's the kind of power feminine energy or women have that they're not really tapping into because they're trying to be more like men. Men are really good at living through their minds and ego and forcing their way through life, which has its functions, and I think it's good. I don't. It's not I'm not saying women are better than men or vice versa. Well, I am saying that a little bit actually, just marginally. I think women are more important for Earth and life than men. But they're both completely fucking necessary. And men being able to be consistent and force through things, I think is really important, especially when it comes to using that power to support women. And I think that is the whole point. Men, masculine energy is the structure, is the container, is the supporting force for feminine energy, for magic to flow into this world. Because women are connected to their cycle, they're tethered to an aspect of nature so much more than men are, that I feel that's where intuition actually lies. And because they're tethered to that naturally, they're always going to be a little bit more attuned with the universe and the flow of life and energy, much more so than men on average. And therefore, I think they should make more bigger picture decisions, like and leadership positions. And if you look at the most progressive countries in the world, like in Scandinavia, it's like they have a very high percentage of women leadership, like much more so than, other nations. And I don't really think that's a coincidence. I think women generally make better decisions, or they make decisions that are better for the overall well-being of Earth and its inhabitants, like completely, much more so than men generally. Right, men, I think decisions are more to do with economic output, productivity, ego, and like status and getting ahead and stuff like that, which ultimately harms the world and ultimately themselves as well. Whereas when women make decisions from love and from flow, from intuition, from this sense of being in the rhythm of the universe, like those decisions, especially when you apply it from a higher leadership position and that trickles down into the world, I think those decisions ultimately make the earth the best place for its inhabitants to thrive in. And then it's for the male to create the safety and the container for the female, for the feminine, to make those decisions and to unleash her magic into the world. And then once she does, not only will the men actually feel better about themselves for doing like a very masculine duty of like protecting and supporting, but the woman will feel more empowered, and the earth would be a better place, would be healthier, and then everyone in general would just be better. So I think that would be a win-win-win situation for everybody. But right now, because we are in a more masculine dominated world, men do have the advantage generally, right? And as such, I think it's fair that it's like if you are a man and you do have the advantage and you are, let's say, able to make more money in general than women, then it makes sense that you pay more than the woman. Not to say you pay every single time for everything, but I think in general, the man should pay more than the woman because they do have the advantage right now on Earth. I think that's fair, Like if you have the advantage, like I think the loving thing to do is not to rub your advantage into other people's faces and to like kick them down even more, but it's to use your power and your advantage to uplift those that don't have the advantage, that are maybe more disadvantaged, right? I think ideally if we work from that perspective, rather than only just trying to build ourselves all the time to, increase our own ego, ultimately I think everybody would be happier, Even the ones that are trying to increase their ego, they're going to find a level of love within themselves and with life, I think, that actually makes them feel happy. So that's kind of like a biological case for why I think men should pay more in general and should support women more because, like men have the advantage right now in this world. And they should use that advantage to help others, ideally, in my opinion. And that women actually have the keys to God and the universe and to life and magic and love. And that should be supported and amplified as much as possible. And that if the men have the power to do that, they absolutely should do that. Because that would not only help the woman, but it would help themselves and the world, right? Because I think a king should live for his people. The king leads and he is the king, not because he has the biggest cock in the room and that he has the biggest ego, but because he is the most suitable person, ideally, to lead his kingdom into greatness, into thriving, so that the whole kingdom wins, right? The king is not there because he's petty and he wants to flex the fact that he is a king, right? I don't think that's a real king. That is a petty tyrant. And I think that's what all men should aspire to be, like a genuine king that supports people. And I think that would feel really good for the man as well, right? It wouldn't demasculate him in any way to help a woman or anything. I think that would actually fulfill this like primal masculine urge within him that would make him feel actually really good and purposeful in life. If you are blessed with your advantages and your strength and your power, then if you're coming from a big place with love, then you would use that strength and power to help others and to support others and to be of service. But if you're coming from a place of like smallness and ego, then you use that to almost like to push other people down furthermore so you can make yourself feel even bigger, to inflate your little ego, right? And I think that's what most men do right now in this world. I think it's rare to find a guy. I feel like that's like encapsulating that king knight energy, which I feel like we're kind of missing and is needed. So okay, yeah, I think that's more or less what I had to say. I felt like I had more to say, but I guess that's it for now. Yeah, thoughts?